Now let's have a look at an example of the volume-based attack, that is the ping ICMP flood attack. The Internet Control Message Protocol ICMP, which is utilized in a ping flood attack, is an internet layer protocol used by network devices to communicate. An ICMP flood attack, also known as ping flood attack, is one of the most common denial-of-service attacks. Here the attacker overwhelms the target device with ICMP echo requests. Basically, ICMP echo request and echo reply messages are used to ping a network device to check the connection between the sender and the receiver. An ICMP request requires resources and bandwidth to process and reply to the requests. By flooding the target with request packets, the network is forced to respond with an equal number of reply packets, thus making it unserviceable to normal traffic. Attackers would usually spoof in a bogus IP address in order to mask the sending device. The next type of DDoS attack we will be discussing about is the protocol-based attack. When you learn networking, you will know that the internet is based totally on a set of protocols. Protocol attacks cause a service disruption by consuming intermediate communication equipment like firewalls and load balancers. DDoS attacks based on protocols exploit weaknesses in Layer 3 and Layer 4 protocol stacks. Protocol-based attacks exploit your network by sending either more packets than what your server can manage or more bandwidth than what your network ports can hold. This attack includes SYN floods, ping of death, and Smurf DDoS to name a few. Here, we will have a look at an example of the protocol-based attack, that is the SYN flood attack. Here, the attack exploits the TCP handshake. In a regular TCP IP network transaction, there is a three-way handshake, namely the SYN, the acknowledgement, and the SYN acknowledgement. The SYN is a service request. The ACK, that is also known as the acknowledgement, is a response from the target, and the SYN acknowledgement is the original requester replying with something like a thanks in return. Whereas in the SYN flood attack, the SYN packets are created with fake IP addresses by the attackers. The target, as per the protocol, then sends an acknowledgement to the dummy address. Unfortunately, this dummy address never responds. This is carried out a number of times. The target waits for the final step in the handshake, and in turn, it exhausts its resources in the process. Next up, we have the application layer attack. The main motive of this attack is to bring down an online service or a website. These attacks are comparatively smaller but silent. Application layer attacks are also known as Layer 7 attacks, and it not only targets the application but also the network and its bandwidth. Application layer attacks include get and post floods, low and slow attacks, and more. Let's have a look at the famous HTTP flood attack as an example. HTTP flood is a type of distributed denial-of-service attack in which the attacker exploits legitimate-looking HTTP GET or POST requests to attack a web server or an application. Here, large numbers of HTTP requests flood the server, resulting in denial of service. HTTP has generally two types of requests, GET or POST. A GET request is used to retrieve information, while a POST request is often used when submitting a completed web form or when uploading a file. Usually, HTTP flood attacks are harder to detect and block. A HTTP flood attack sends what appears to be legitimate HTTP GET or POST requests to attack a web server or an application. These flooding attacks often rely on a botnet.